Kevin Garnett, a future Hall of Famer, feels Steph Curry's ability to shoot from beyond the arc has fundamentally transformed the game. Curry has established himself as one of the best shooters in NBA history since making his debut 13 years ago. However, we continue to be unable to answer the following question. How did he change the game? Is Kevin's assertion correct? Let's see. To begin, let's look at how Steph Curry altered the game. Kevin Garnett, a Boston Celtics and Minnesota Timberwolves veteran, has urged the NBA to explore introducing a 4-point line since Golden State Warriors phenom Steph Curry has changed the game. Like his father Del Curry, the point guard specialized in long-distance shooting, allowing him to stretch the floor with defenders obliged to monitor him once he passed the half-court line. However, as Steve Kerr took over as head coach, the Warriors ultimately evolved into a fast-paced, high-volume three-point squad. Since then, the Warriors have won 4 NBA titles in 8 years, with Curry guiding the team and establishing himself as one of the top players in the league. While Curry is an excellent basketball passer, almost all his shooting has propelled him to the pinnacle of dominance. With the Warriors' success, teams have attempted to mimic their style of play, and young players in high school and college have admired his game and hope to play like Steph, improving their range from deep. Moving on, more specifics on the subject. Several point guards have entered the league as shoot-first players rather than the typical passing point guard that the NBA has been accustomed to since the periods of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. Of course, LeBron James is still in the NBA and arguably a top 5 talent in the league, but Garnett has claimed that we are now in the Curry age, and the league may have to intervene. Garnett has asserted that a 4-point line should be adopted because teams are now shooting three-pointers so frequently and quickly. I think you have to say that we're out of the LeBron James era and we're in the Steph Curry era. We're in the Golden State era, Garnett said. We must revere his name because he is not finished and they are not finished. He has transformed the game with what he has done for the league. Guards with a range like his alter how teams must defend them deeply. He set the pattern for that by ushering in a new brand of guards working on their shooting depth. The league will have to explore a 4-ball at some time because things are getting out of hand. Moving on, NBA players responsible for a rule change. The recent Harden rule has altered the game in numerous ways. The lowest free throw attempts in NBA history means that every single top 10 free throw attempt leader from last season is down by 2-point percentage. Everyone but the yet-to-debut injury-riddled Zion already has a lot on his plate. Here are more regulations that helped shape the game into what it is today. First, Bruce Bowen, safe place to land. Bruce Bowen was well known for contesting a jump shot and then landing his foot where players would ordinarily land, putting defenders' ankles at risk of turning or worse. So after spraining Steve Francis's ankle and nearly injuring Jamal Crawford, the NBA implemented a rule that permits a player to land safely and not on Bowen's foot. The irony of this rule is that Greg Popovich, like an overprotective father, supported Bowen's actions, noting that the folks who weep about it are just irritated about having to go against Bruce, he said. You be Bruce Bowen, I said. You're the best defender in this league. You will not alter your defensive strategy. That came back to bite him as Zaza Pachulia halted a future Spurs era in a single swat. Next, Magic Johnson, blood rule. Yes, this is precisely what you believe. When Magic returned to the court after realizing he had HIV, there was limited public awareness of the condition, resulting in enormous public outrage. Players such as Karl Malone have stated that they may come into contact with Magic and become infected. As a result, whenever there is blood, the game must be paused. The moral of the story is that Magic is still in charge, and Malone comes into contact with something terrible. Moving on, Kobe Bryant, hand-checking rule. Many people in the NBA have been given credit for eliminating the hand-checking rule, but this was the most intriguing reason. They made up for what the 2004 Detroit Pistons lacked in star power with outstanding defense. So if you watch a tape from the 2004 NBA Finals, you'll notice the Pistons bodying up on Kobe every time he tracked to the basket. However, no foul was called since Kobe had the advantage over the opponent. However, that tiny bump slowed Kobe down just enough for Ben Wallace to be in a better position to defend the basket. After the 2004 NBA Finals, there was a heated discussion regarding the relative benefits to players and teams, prompting the league to outlaw all forms of hand-checking for the next 2005 season. The rule was meant to offer offensive players more freedom. Still, it has given offensive players an unfair edge to the point that keeping perimeter players out of the paint is now nearly impossible. We know what happened soon after. Their scoring exploded, allowing Kobe to score 81 points in a single game. Following that, Michael Jordan, colorful sneakers. When every NBA player's sneakers were either black or white, Jordan chose to wear the black and red Air Jordan 1s in a preseason game, and the league immediately banned them from regular season use. So Michael became the first player to challenge the NBA and wear whatever shoes he wanted, even if it meant a $5,000 fine per game. Because of Jordan's defiance and Nike's marketing, most players in the league now wear Nike and Jordan shoes. Jordan was also the first player to have his own custom longer shorts made. As players' shorts became longer, the John Stockton style became extinct. Next, LeBron James. LeBron James hates propaganda. When LeBron James famously took his skills to South Beach in 2010, his first game back in Cleveland was widely anticipated. Before LeBron's comeback, December 2nd, 2010, NBA executives looked at anti-LeBron merchandise such as hats, t-shirts, and signs. Many t-shirts containing hostile comments directed against LeBron James were discovered to be circulating locally inside Cleveland. As a result of this revelation, the NBA warned fans not to wear this attire to the game and even increased security at the doors to ensure that no such clothing or ominous signs were there. Side note, the Miami Heat defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 118-90 with LeBron scoring 38 points. Moving on, Wilt Chamberlain, everything. Many of the most fundamental principles of modern basketball were developed in response to Wilt Chamberlain's ability. Many consider Chamberlain the single most dominant player in history, and his accomplishments are like video game statistics. Shooters cannot cross the free throw line until the ball hits the hoop, because Wilt would throw it against the backboard for dunks. To keep him further away from the basket, they increased the width of the court from 12 feet to 16 feet. They enacted harsh interference laws or invented goaltending to prevent him from catching his teammates' shots in midair and dunking them when they were already on their way to the basket. They even said the ball couldn't be inbounded over the backboard because inbounders stationed beneath the hoop would routinely lob it over the backboard for Wilt. Wilt was unquestionably talented. Following that, Charles Barkley, 5-second rule. Turning his back on the basket allowed Barkley to back up his opponent to the rim, put them on their backside, and lay the ball in. Barkley was 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighed 260 pounds. The difficulty level here is 0. Charles Barkley's fundamental basketball skills, not just his hilarious personality, were vastly underappreciated in his day. While necessary, it could be a time-consuming process that slowed down games. With this in mind, the NBA implemented the Barkley Rule, or Mark Jackson Rule as it is more commonly known in New York. Players can only turn their backs to the basket for 5 seconds while dribbling below the free throw line. Finally, Trent Tucker Rule. The Trent Tucker Rule prohibits any ordinary shot from being attempted on the court if the ball is placed in play with less than 0.3 of a second remaining on the game clock or shot clock. So suppose only 0.2 or 0.1 seconds are remaining. In that case, the shot must be taken with the tip of the player's fingers. Fun fact, the regulation was enacted in response to a contentious buzzer beater against Michael Jordan. Well, that's the end of today's video. Hope you had fun. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment in the section below. Thanks for tuning in.